Welcome to LGI Wow Nights. Today is Saturday and it is our weekend communion. My name is Pastor Damian. I am an LGI pastor and a co-founder of WindWatch. And I will bring you God's message before we take communion tonight. The title of God's message for you is Only Believe. And our biblical passage comes from John 20:24 to 29. I will read the passage as you follow me in the screen. Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But Thomas said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Brothers and sisters, isn't this a very familiar account to most of you? This is the time when Jesus visited Thomas, who we know as a doubter. And this happened after the resurrection of Jesus. This account was the second visitation of Jesus to the disciples after he rose from the dead, a week after his first visitation. In his first visitation to the disciples, Thomas was not with them. The disciples were locked down in a room and huddled in fear, thinking that they will be the next ones to be prosecuted after Jesus. Mga kaibigan, parang tayo ito ngayon, locked in, locked down, dahil iniiwasan natin ang kaaway, ang COVID-19. Jesus appeared to the disciples with the doors closed. What a wonder. And Jesus just appeared in their midst and released comfort and peace to them. Thomas was not with them. But the disciples were overjoyed at seeing Jesus, so that the next time they saw Thomas, they told him that they had seen Jesus, and Thomas had not. And we know Thomas answered, and he said, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." In the account we read, Jesus visits again when Thomas was with them. Brothers and sisters, do we have the same problem as Thomas did? Unbelief? Unbelief that Jesus is alive? Unbelief that Jesus can stop the power of COVID-19? Our problem nowadays, brothers and sisters, is It is hard to believe that someone can stop the attack of COVID-19. Scientists, researchers, frontliners, governments have been doing their utmost in trying to stop this pandemic, but up to now, they have not found the solution. We are like Thomas in the sense that he would not believe that Jesus was alive unless he saw the wounds on Jesus' hands and side. We, like Thomas, want to see something concrete being done before we believe that this pandemic will stop. But the overarching message we as believers are receiving is that someone is in charge, and that someone we cannot see. And we only have to believe. Only believe. And so God revealed to me through the Holy Spirit the following points. First of all, Jesus' love cares for everyone. Jesus noticed the absence of Thomas the first time he visited the disciples. And Jesus missed Thomas. Thomas was important to Jesus. Each one of the disciples was important and special to Jesus. Jesus did not want to lose Thomas. The disciples were given to him by God, and he did not want anyone to be lost except the one who was meant to be lost. At this point, the Spirit is telling me that each one of you is important to Jesus. Jesus made you special in his eyes. Do you feel at this point that God does not care for you because of what you're going through right now? Are you fearful of being infected? Are you afraid of being alone? Your provisions are running out. Jesus is speaking to you now. He is saying to you, you are important to me. You are special to me. God the Father has given you to me. I love you. I will not lose you. I gave my life for you. I will never leave you or forsake you. Only believe. The second point, brothers and sisters, is this. Jesus' power convinces the unbelieving heart. Thomas did not believe that Jesus was alive until he saw the proof. And Jesus knew Thomas's problem. Jesus knew what to do. This was his power. He knows what to do with unbelieving hearts. And we all know what he did. He appeared a second time to the disciples when Thomas was there and showed the disciples and Thomas his wounds. It was only then that Thomas believed, and he exclaimed, "My Lord and my God." Brothers and sisters, when we take the communion, let us believe that Jesus gave his body for our sake. He died that we may live. His body was broken so that we may be healed of our unbelief, so that we may be healed of our sickness, so that we will be filled of any lack that we have. He rose in the dead. He rose from the dead to prove to us that death has no power over him. He can conquer death. He can conquer COVID-19. We need only to believe. And the third point, which is the promise, is Jesus' grace commends the believer with faith without sight. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Indeed, Jesus is pleased when you believe if you see, but He is more pleased if you believe without seeing. This is called faith without sight. You can believe He can heal you even if you don't see Him, because He did it in the past and He can do it again. He is the same God yesterday, today, and forever. So Jesus is pleased, brothers and sisters, when you take communion and believe that through this communion you can be healed, you can be saved of your unbelief, you can be blessed. He is pleased when you stand by His promises through His very words. Jesus is pleased when you only believe. Because of your faith, you are blessed. What does it mean that you are blessed? Have joy and peace during the worst of times. You are protected and provided for. Magugulat ka na lang. May dumating na pagkain sa gate mo. Ito yung being blessed. He blesses anyone who believes, even if he doesn't see. He blesses anyone who believes. He alone can stop the pandemic. Brothers and sisters, only believe.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace.